What's up, and welcome to another Bitcoin update. We're also going to be taking a look at traditional markets, gold, and the dollar index. We've been watching that for a while. Let's see what's going on with it. I think the traditional markets are going to be key to what Bitcoin does next. If that sounds interesting, definitely stick around for the whole video. Don't forget we have a free Discord group. There's a link down below in the description. Definitely check it out. Let's get into it. All right, guys, as always, this is not financial advice, trading advice, nor is it investment advice. Don't forget, we do a Ledger Nano S hard wallet giveaway. We do that every Monday. All you have to do to enter to win is make sure you click that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up, tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos, and leave your comment below. That will get you entered to win. All right, let's take a look at the Dow Jones. So we've been looking at this as a possible fractal from back here when we had the big March dump. Last year, could we be seeing the same thing? It is possible. As you can see, we're making lower highs in the RSI, higher highs in the price action like we did over here. We're doing the same thing over here. Obviously, it's been a little bit longer of a run, but nevertheless, it is making the same fractal. It appears to be. I will show you the point to watch though, but let's take a look at what happened over here. So we came up, we made our top, came back, pegged above the top a little bit, came back below, and was never able to get back above it. If we do the same thing here, as you can see yesterday, we put this line right at 31,670. We did come and tag it and got rejected. If we stay below this, it's most likely that Bitcoin is going to drop further to around that $38,000, $39,000 level. I do expect a bounce if we go down there. But if we do break back above this and get support on the Dow, then I believe Bitcoin will continue up from there. Let's take a look at gold. We've had these targets here forever since back in November. We had a target of 1736, and I had said if this breaks, I'd be looking for the 1647. And as of right now, it does seem like this support has flipped resistance at the 1736. We're most likely going to be seeing the 1647. And if that breaks, it gets really bad for gold. We will talk about that if it happens. Let's take a look at our fractal on the DXY we've been watching. As you guys know, if you're watching, the dollar is getting stronger here, and the fractal right here in the MACD is playing out just like the fractal in the price action. Same thing down here in the, and guys, this is the 3-day chart. So we did come back down, retest the wedge before popping up. And I've been talking about it. We may see something similar to what we've seen back here, like this in the dollar. And if that does happen, when the dollar broke out of this wedge, this 3-day wedge back here was around April 16th. We'll take a look at that time frame when I overlay the DXY on the Bitcoin chart. And that seems to be what we're doing right now, the same type deal. Let's go out there and look. This is the DXY overlaid on the Bitcoin chart. And this is when that DXY broke out of the wedge last time. As you can see, Bitcoin came back up, made another little high right afterwards. But as the dollar rose, Bitcoin dropped. Every time the dollar hits this bottom trend line, which it has, Bitcoin is at or near its top. Now, I know a lot of people are still calling for $100,000 Bitcoin. I'm not saying that's not possible. We will take a look at both the bullish and the bearish case scenario since nobody knows what's going on. And we'll take a look at some more immediate targets that I'm watching. But anyways, if this was to play out, also you can look every time the dollar tops, Bitcoin bottoms. So if the dollar is going to have that rise for the next year or so, we would look for a bottom in Bitcoin when the dollar comes up to its trend line up top. So just the way I'm looking at it, and I will be looking to buy in if that happens with a hodl position. But let's take a look at where we're at now. So this could be a possible head and shoulders forming up here. We do have room in the RSI for it to come down, but let's take a look at both scenarios here. So we are trying to rise up. As you can see, there's a falling channel right here. If we do break that falling channel and break up above it, and that may happen before this video gets out, but that gives us a target around 50,600. I would expect some resistance there, possibly come back down to retest the bottom trend line on this rising channel, and if that breaks, continue down from there. Now if we do get rejected and break down from here, there is, if we look at this as the neckline, let me zoom in a little bit, looking at this as a left shoulder head, right shoulder, if it was to break down from that neckline, we take a measured move from the head to the neck, and depending on where it breaks down, will get us around that 46.3 range. Now if we look at this rising channel, do a measured move from that, if we were to break down in the next hour or couple hours, somewhere in that time frame, could get us as low as around the 45, and we do have other targets, guys. This is just the 15-minute time frame. That'd get us down to around the 45,150. We do have room in the RSI to do that, so be cautious, be aware there. But this neckline would get us around 48,500, a break of that, and we're most likely headed to at least the 43 or 46.3 and then the 45 range. And we will take a look at the bigger time frames and what our targets might be at that point. Let's take a look at Prime XBT. Definitely, if you are interested in trading, you can make a lot of money trading off even these smaller moves. Check out Prime XBT. You can trade crypto, forex, gold, oil, silver, S&P, Dow Jones, everything on one exchange. And by using your Bitcoin, you can, raise the amount of Bitcoin you got, because you get paid in Bitcoin in your profits. So check it out. I'll leave a tutorial up top on how to use their margin. And you can use my promo code SAVY50 to get you 50% on top of whatever you deposit. So if you deposited 1 Bitcoin into your trading account, they give you a half a Bitcoin to use towards your margin. Savvy25 will get you 25% off of your trade fees. All right, let's take a look at the 4 hour or the 1 hour. Let me get that off of there. All right, so if we look at the RSI right here, we are in a rising broadening wedge. It is possible we come up to retest the top of the wedge again, and that will get us up to these higher targets. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if we do come back down to the bottom here, that would be that head and shoulders playing out that I showed you on the 15-minute. And I put a Fibonacci retracement from the swing high to the swing low here. Our golden pocket area is around the 52.5. So I would expect a rejection if we get to that 52.5. But let's take a look at something else. We could be forming, and I'll get this off of here right now. Let's get this off of there. All right, so if we're making a inverse head and shoulders here, which is very possible, we would take a measured move from the head to the neckline, and depending on where it was to break out, could get us as high as that 57.5 area, and that would be retesting the bottom of this rising channel that we broke out of. We do have a measured move of that target from when we broke over here down to 40,500. So that area is still interesting to me. I still believe we're most likely going to see between this $38,000 and $40,000 range before we get a nice bounce. Then could we see a new all-time high? Definitely possible. It's not a guarantee. I will show you the longer term charts, but as of right now, this is what I'm looking at. And if we look at this as a ABC, the one-to-one extension, if we go from the top down to where I have A marked here and then over to B, the one-to-one extension gets us that 38.6. That's why that area is interesting to me. And if it follows this trend line, as you can see, I put a trend line off these wicks. If it does follow this trend line, we could look for that around March 12th. If we hit our target of 40,500, that could be around the March 7th range. Time is the hardest thing to judge here. I'm just judging by the time, or judging the time frame by the trend line and the targets. So that's what I'm looking at right here. And like I said, as you can see in the RSI, we also have made, if we go from this peak here to this peak here, lower highs in the price action, same peaks here, higher highs in the RSI. That is hidden bearish divergence. And hidden bearish divergence is a continuation of the trend when it's hidden. So hidden bearish is obviously a continuation of the downtrend. Now in the more bearish case scenario, if this isn't an ABC, if it's a 1, 2, 3, we could see as low as a $30,000 Bitcoin, low 30s, 30 to 32,000. As of right now, unless we break this 38.6, I'm not looking for that, but that is definitely a possibility. Keep it in mind. Let's look at this rising. We'll also take a look at Litecoin and Ethereum at the end, so stick around for that. But let's look at the rising broadening wedge here. That also would line up at the 38.6, right around that March 7th to March 12th, depending on how quick it was to get down here. But that also lines up with the bottom of this wedge. Now, in the bearish case, like I said, we could go down to that low 30,000, and we can come all the way back up, retest this bottom. If that happens, I'm not saying it's gonna, but if we do break this 38.6 and come down to the low 30s range, come up and retest the top of this and get rejected, the measured move of the breakdown from this rising broadening wedge would be around the $14,000 range. Again, not saying it's going to happen, but you need to be aware of it. If you think for sure one thing or the other is going to happen, guys, remember, nobody has a clue. And if you look back in 2017, where everybody was super bullish after the top, all of 2018, we heard the most bullish news, more bullish news than in the bull run of 2017. 2018 had more bullish news, but the price kept declining. So be aware of that. And everybody kept buying the dip all through 18. So just something to be aware of. Again, I'm not saying we can't go to new all-time highs, but we need to watch the charts. And that's why trading works for me, because you can make money on, you know, these smaller moves in between instead of just hodling and wait to, you know, hope that it continues to go up. But as you can see in the RSI, we are in a rising channel here. Looks like, and this is the 4-hour. We could come back down to retest this bottom. Let's take a look. Is there any divergence right now? And there is. We had lower lows in the RSI right here, higher lows in the price. That is bearish divergence. Now, if we look at the EMAs here, I'll leave some tutorials up here on how I use and what EMAs I use. Definitely check it out. It is helpful. But anyways, the 8 seems to want to cross the 55 EMA. Now, if all these turn up and cross there, we could get our rise up to retest the bottom of this or the top of this channel. Now, that's the bullish case. If we do hit up to the top of this channel and break it, we could, or I'm sorry, not channel, rising broadening wedge, we could see as high as an $86,000 Bitcoin at a break of this top of this wedge here. If we do, I would expect it to come back down to retest before continuing up. But that's the very bearish case, and I've showed you that is the bullish case, and I've showed you the bearish case here. Now let's dig in a little deeper. If we look at the long term, this is on the 2-day. I threw the fib channels on here, and as you can see, we topped out in 2017 on the top fib channel. Back here in 2013, we got rejected at the 0.236 and came all the way back down to a little past the 0.5. If we were to do that again, that would get us down to that $15,000, $16,000 range. As of right now, we have gotten rejected at the 0.236 fib. Let's zoom in here and take a look. If we are able to break back above this, and if it would happen in the next week or so, that would be around the $61,000 to $62,000 range. If we do that, get support here, then we definitely, it is possible to come all the way back up to around this $200,000 Bitcoin by this year, possibly next year. If it slowly continues up into next year, it could be even much higher, $250,000 Bitcoin. But first, we have to break this trend line here before we can even think of that. If we were to come back down and retest that 0.236, if we did that extremely quick, whoops, that is not what I meant to put on there. Let me get the price label over here, and don't forget, guys, make sure you scroll down, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment. That helps the channel. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm. Anytime you watch any videos on YouTube, if you enjoy it, that's a great way. It doesn't cost you nothing to help the influencers out. So anyways, if we came back down, that could be, like I said, depending on how long it took, between the 30 and 32,000. A break of this, then we would get pretty bearish. If we break down, come back up, retest it, and get rejected, then that could be an extremely bearish case. We could start to go down to these lower fib levels. So just keep that in mind. It is a possibility, but if we do break this top fib, I think we most likely will just have a continuation of this bull run for another year or two. Otherwise, we could be entering a bear market. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. So if you look back here in 2019, you can see we made higher highs. This is a 3-day chart, and I want to show you a bearish engulfing candle here too. Each one of these arrows shows bearish engulfing candles on the 3-day, and you can see what happened after. But as you can see, higher highs right here, lower highs right here. That was bearish divergence. And we are seeing the same thing here on the 3-day. Higher highs in the price action, lower highs in the RSI, bearish divergence. Do we come all the way back down and retest the bottom of this falling channel here in the RSI? If we did, that could get very ugly. And that's not to say we can't come all the way. Guys, we can come all the way back up here without breaking the all-time high and still continue down. But once, like I said, once we break that fib level around 61, 62, we could pretty much start looking for at least $80,000 Bitcoin. But right now we're getting support on the 8 EMA, which is around 47.8. And if that was to break, the 13 EMA would be our next support here on the 3-day at about 45.3. And then we have the 21 EMA around the $41,000, $42,000 range. A break of that, 55. Obviously, it wouldn't come straight down, so the 55 would continue rising. Could be, like I said, to that low $30,000 range. On the other hand, if we come up, make a new all-time high and get rejected here again, that'll make more bearish divergence and continue down from there. So like I said, we could still get a pop up here, but as you guys can see, I've been talking about it for a while now. There is a bearish engulfing candle here. The wicks engulf both wicks of the prior candle, and the body engulfs the body of the prior candle. That is bearish divergence. That is bearish engulfing. And I showed you guys before, if we zoom out here, here was another bearish engulfing. You can see what happened afterwards. And another bearish engulfing here. You can see what happened afterwards. This was not a bearish engulfing. But anyways, that shows you once we have a bearish engulfing candle, we had one back here, and you can see what happened after. We have had one over here. You can see what happened after. So be aware of that. Again, it doesn't mean we have to go down from here. It's just a sign in the candles that we are pretty bearish right now. And again, this is on the 3-day chart. All right, let's take a look at this is another speculative, just looking at this speculatively as a possible head and shoulders if we have topped out here. And usually when we top out, we get a 80 to 90% correction. And if we did an 85% correction from here, we'll get us down to the 9,000 range, which would also be a measured move of this if it became. And guys, that means if we've topped and we are going to continue down from here, we might not see these lows until the end of the year, and it's actually most likely the beginning to middle of next year before we bottom out. And again, it doesn't have to happen like that. I'm just showing you guys what to be aware of. As you can see, our funding rate is rising again. That is favoring the bears a little bit here. But if we look at the 1-day, we are getting support on top of the EMAs right now. So we'll see. Let's see how the daily candle closes. If we close down below this 21 EMA at around 47.48, then most likely we're gonna continue down to at least the 55 here, which is around the $40,000 to $42,000 range. Let's take a look at. So this is 2017 bubble, 2019 mini bubble. Could this be a bubble up here? It is definitely a possibility. And does that mean we just can go straight down, like, you know, just plummet to 8,000? No. As you can see, this took, let's see how long that took. That took from top to bottom, took us about a year. Let's check out the top to bottom in 2019. Was about 262 days. So let's just say 300 days. And this is speculative, guys. But let's say that happened again. When would the bottom be? let's say 336 days. That would get us to about February 2022. Could it be a much longer bear run, bear cycle? Definitely possible. But again, guys, I'm not saying it's topped out here, but if it is, like I showed you, the DXY, if it continues up, chances are it is. If the Dow continues to crash, usually the reason the DXY rises, which is the dollar index, which is a bunch of currencies thrown into a basket, and the dollar is measured by it. So when that usually rises, people are getting out of risky assets, stocks, Bitcoin, and they get into the dollar, and that's what makes the dollar rise. So depending on what the dollar does here, like I showed you in the beginning, we'll see. But this could end up making a triangle top. And again, it's not to say it falls straight down. You know, we could come all the way back up and go just below our all-time high, come back down. This could take a very, very long time, more than a year to play out. So Bitcoin could get boring if this happens. But if it does end up making a triangle and you can long the bottoms and short the tops, you could make an absolute killing off of it. But anyways, that's what I'm looking at. And each time we made a triangle, be aware of this triangle here, though. In 2017, we did come back up, break the all-time high one more time before continuing down. So be aware of that. And each time we made a triangle, the measured move of the triangle got us to our lows. We did an 84% correction in 2017. We did a 72% correction in 2019. Will we see something similar here? That's what I'm watching for. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin is right at its resistance, that 183, 184 range I said to watch. If we can get back above this and get support, then we could be headed up to that $270 range, possibly higher. We'll take a look at that. Otherwise, if we come back down and break the bottom of this rising wedge, we could be looking at a $46 Bitcoin to $50 or Litecoin, I'm sorry. If that was the case, this too would just verify a bear market, and we would be, you know, this would be within a year or two we would see this. Now, if we're able to break up here, come back up top on the bullish case, we could be looking at a depending on where it was to break, if it, you know, took longer, whatever, somewhere around a $400 Litecoin. Definitely a possibility. So let's keep an eye on that. And like I said, as of right now, the do or die for Litecoin for the immediate future is around 184. If we can break above that and get support, then we'll probably get one more run up. And Ethereum, if we were to come test the bottom of this rising channel that we broke down from, right now is around 1662. If we break above that and get support there, we could be coming up to this $2,200 range. And if that was to break, the measured move could be as high as, move this down a little bit, $26,000, or yeah, $2,600 Ethereum, not 26,000. But we'll see what happens here. If we get rejected again, I do have these lower targets. First one being from when we first broke out over here, 1,054. And then we have the 200 EMA here, would be around the $950 range. We'll see what happens. Like I said, no guarantees here. It's kind of a crazy area, and a lot's depending on the traditional markets and the dollar right now. The dollar is key to watch, guys. Keep an eye on the DXY. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my wife's webpage if you want to help support the channel. And check out the other links down below. I have other affiliate links down there you can check out. But she has a lot of cool stuff on here. She does it all herself. It's quality. It's not garbage. Definitely check it out. Give it a look. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the CryptoSavvy logo above my head. Scroll down, smash that like button. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think we'll see another new all-time high this year? Do you think we will break, 80,000? Do you think we could possibly be in the bear market? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take it easy. I'm out.